Hi, y'all. I'm here at the HHS building in D.C. with a story. This is Shelly Hendricks. Shelly, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Shelly Hendricks. I live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I have a little boy named Liam, who's not little anymore. He's 21. And he has autism. And he had a vaccine injury when he was a baby. And I was telling Ginger this story earlier today, that back in 2009, sometimes I do things that, whatever. So I had sent a note to HHS. I sent them an email, and before I came up for a conference in October of 2009 in DC, and I asked them if we could have permission to get a permit for the plaza of HHS, because
this is the plaza of HHS,
which is kind of far away from the building, just so you can see.
Where we have demonstrated before.
And I asked them if I could please have permission to dump a vial of mercury-containing flu vaccine onto the concrete. And they told me that I could not do that because it would require a hazardous cleanup, and it would be considered an act of terrorism. So they put me in contact with the Department of Homeland Security and the DC Police and the FBI, and said that I needed to get clearance from them. So I tried to see if we could get clearance from them, and we asked them if we could dump out one vial of mercury-containing flu vaccine onto the plaza. And then they said no, that we couldn't because it would be a hazard to the people inside the building. And then we asked if we could just take one shot of mercury-containing flu vaccine and we could squirt that onto the concrete. And they said, no, you could not do that. And so then I came back a third time and I asked if we could line up 10 6-month-old babies and if we could inject flu vaccine into the babies on the plaza at HHS. And they said that would be fine. And so I had to check in with Homeland Security when I arrived in Washington, D.C. because of these little emails that I was sending back and forth. And I had to let them know on the day, and I think it was 8 years ago today, that I had to let them know that if I was going to do the protest or not, because they said if I did it, they wouldn't issue a permit because of the content of the demonstration, and if I did it without a permit, I would be arrested and thrown in jail. So, for an act of homeland terror.
And tell them about the phone call the next day.
So I told them that I needed to think about that, and that I'd get back with them in the morning. And they said, okay, you need to call at a certain time the next day. So we were whooping it up at the conference, and I had a couple of glasses of wine. I had 3 glasses of wine, actually. And so I woke up a tiny bit late that next morning, and I was probably about 15 or 20 minutes late checking in with the Homeland Security officer. And he said, he said, well, I said, I'm sorry that I'm calling in late. I slept in a little bit. And he said, well, we would have expected you to sleep in since you drank 3 glasses of wine last night. So I don't know if I have an FBI file or anything, but it seems to me that if you're this far out here on this concrete, you should be able to spill a vial of mercury-containing flu vaccine, and it shouldn't really cause a problem or be harmful to the people inside the building.
And that's what the U.S. government actually thinks about the safety of the flu vaccine.
Safe for babies, not for concrete.
The end.